Again, welcome to the International Motor Racing Research Center. This is one of our best events of the year, and a lot of people think it's the best party of the weekend, and I certainly do, and I hope you're all enjoying it. We're not going to have a long program because we want you all to enjoy the camaraderie, but we have a number of wonderful people to introduce, and I also, though, want to tell you a little bit about the center. Most of you know, so I won't give you a long-winded. However, we are a not-for-profit. We're self-funded through the generosity of the motorsports industry and fans, such as all of you. And many of you here are sponsors. We have an annual sponsorship drive. Denise McCluggage is the honorary chairman this year. And we also have a raffle that's a significant part of our annual budget, and that's that beautiful Ferrari. And if you haven't bought a ticket, just think about this. How many raffles have a Ferrari as the prize? Having said all that, I want to recognize a special friend that's here tonight, a wonderful couple who have been great supporters of the Research Center. They're sitting in the back of the room, and I'd like you to join me in a moment in applause and tribute to Ann and Joel Finn. Joel is both Ann and Joel have been active in the success of the Research Center. Ann has been a tremendous resource in us identifying some of the finer points of archiving and basically running an establishment like this, and we're so grateful to the time she's put into that. Joel Finn is a guy I have admired for so long. He's not only one of the finest race drivers you'll ever encounter, but he is my favorite motorsport writer, bar none. He's an exceptional researcher, just a terrific guy, and we all are thinking about Ann and Joel tonight and appreciating them being here. At this time, I would like to introduce and ask to come to the podium the president of WGI, Michael Printo. Michael?
Thank you, Michael. Well, it's hard to explain how much passion goes into this room because you're all here. And if you look around, I mean, we have so many things that just goes on in this room. And Michael and JC and the whole family, I mean, I don't know, I get emotional about this stuff because I think, you know, going back to the days of the France family and everybody creating their racing segment, and here in the library, we have multitudes of racing segment aptitude and research aptitude. So without getting emotional about that, because I think that's very important, and I know you all understand that because you wouldn't be here if you didn't understand that. This is something that this library, this research center, is something that I hope that all of you think about. Because you know, you leave tonight and then just go home and think about what this place does, and you see people walking and sitting and researching, or you talk to Bill Green, or you talk to Glenda. I mean, all this stuff is fantastic. So please don't forget that. I'm not going to, I could go on forever about that stuff, but please don't forget that. And Otto Litton, I'm going to tell you what, he's sitting back there. No. Yeah, here he is. I tell you what, I am so proud. Yes. He and I just met last night. I actually avoided him last night prior to my speech at the track because I avoided him because I didn't want to be biased because I get teary-eyed in some stuff. And because I love racing so much. And I sat down and talked to him last night, and then he got teary-eyed with me, and I'm like, wow, here's this guy that's so famous. And I'm like, I'm a nobody. I mean, here's this guy that's so famous and race tracks, and he's done it at the Glen, he started in 1948, and here he is sitting in front of us today. These are the people that we need to recognize. And I know you all do, and I'm not trying to be Pollyanna about anything, but I tell you what, my job allows me to do one thing, meet people like him. And I love Otto Linton. We've sat down, chatted prior to tonight, and I'm glad that you're here. So, salute, congratulations, I love you, thank you. Is Lynn St. James here? Oh, good, I'm sorry, Lynn. Come on up. I'm sorry, it's like last night. I know you didn't want to speak, but you're going to speak. Otto, thank you again. And I think what you've done with the American Racing Program and what you did is a champion throughout. That's why we're going to induct you, or we already have, induct you in the Legend of the Glen, because who else is there? So thank you, Otto.
You're here.
Yes, you're here. All in. It's all you.
Well, that's an interesting introduction. I'm not really sure who I am because I'm replacing or filling in for Denise McCluggage, who was meant to be the Grand Marshal, and then this morning I was Flossie Smalley. So I'm like anonymous, and having a really good time. So anyway, I wanted to talk about something that I'm glad I got a chance to talk about now. I've been kind of worried about, in a way, the history of motorsports or what's happening, because we're all getting old. And I realize I'm getting old, maybe that's why I'm thinking about it. And I know that so many of the contemporaries are starting to age. And to be able to honor Otto while he's alive, I still think that's so great that we can do these things while we're alive. But I think what I'm most inspired about now is to meet Otto's son, Roger, to meet Dennis, who I can't even remember Dennis's last name, but he was there this morning when I was I was actually tech inspecting some of the vehicles that were there. To see the second generation interested, passionate, knowledgeable, respectful of the history not only of their family but also the history of the sport. So, and I work a lot with universities. I'm on the board of Kettering University, and young people today are different than I think when we were young. And so I just think it's very important that somehow we get this story out. I talked a little bit to Roger about that earlier, that we need to find out why their inspirations were what they were. Because not every young person honors and respects and is excited about what their dad did or what their mom did. Sometimes they go off in a completely different direction, and sometimes they just take it for granted and they don't respect it. So I think to somehow get their stories out so that can kind of relate to other young people, and maybe to pay more attention to their heritage, because that's also what's going to sustain this place and the history of our sport. We can honor these cars are going to outlive us. There's many cars here, and when they mentioned that he started racing in 1948, I'm like, God, that was the year after I was born. So, that's wonderful that many of them live a long life, and that we can honor them while they're alive. But as I said, the cars will live forever. And I've just become aware of a foundation called the Car Collector Foundation, because they're worried about there's going to be nobody to work on these cars, because the people that work on them are also getting old. So I think somehow they're really focusing on the youth, and I'm inspired by not only being here again. I love Watkins, Glen, and I love coming back. But I think it's really been an honor to meet Roger and Dennis, who's not, I think, here. But I think oh, there you are. Yes, sorry. So anyway, that's what I kind of wanted to share with you. And then I think there's another important thing that we also do, which is to honor the people that were critical to the sport. And one of those, of course, is Peg Bishop. And this building is actually dedicated to John Bishop, and Peg was at his side all the time. Whenever I saw them, they were always together. And so I just think that because of the timeliness of it, that it happened recently, that we maybe just take a moment of silence to honor Peg. Thank you. She was always quiet and always kind of behind the scenes, and she was tiny, but she was mighty, and she had to fear God sometimes of me at registration when I tried to pull something that I shouldn't have. So we'll all miss her, and I know she loved this place as much as John did as well. So thank you for having me back. I'll be somebody else next year if you need it. I'm kind of enjoying that. So and I had a great time today driving the number 43 stock car. So I want to thank Tony from SVRA, who's not here, and I think Scott had a little bit of hand in that. But I love the sound of a race car, the look of a race car, the feel of a race car, and the people that are also making these cars, go fast, and they're collecting them, and they're preserving them, and they love them as much as I do. So thank you very much for having me.
You've just heard from a truly remarkable woman. We respect her, we respect Lynn so much for her achievements as a race driver, and since she's gotten out of the seat of the race car, she has had an even more remarkable career. Lynn, I'm so glad you made that very, very moving tribute to Peggy Bishop. We all love Peggy and John. They've been a big part of my life, virtually all my life, and we are thinking of the Bishop family. A couple of other items. In a moment, we're going to bring Otto up, and as Otto approaches the podium, I just want to mention that we're very appreciative of Bob Milstein, who continues the tradition of bringing beautiful cars as displays here at the center. The Hanskin Special, which is out on the lawn, will be here for 3 months for us all to enjoy. I also want to thank Greg Galdi, who is on our council, who has donated the beautiful Ferrari 308 GTSI that he's had since it was brand new, and he's given it to us as this raffle. It's quite an extraordinary thing. So many people who do these marvelous things. But right now I want to talk about Otto, and then I want to get Otto to say a few words for us. Otto is the only surviving driver from the 1948 Watkins Glen Grand Prix. He went on to race with distinction throughout the 1940s, the 1950s, and well into the 1960s. Otto was born in Vienna. He was present for a number of Grand Prix races in the 1930s, that golden era of racing with Mercedes-Benz and Auto Union and Maserati and Alfa Romeo, and he fell in love with racing. He left his home in Vienna when the German Nazi government annexed Austria, his home. And he came to America and has made his home here. And when the war was over, he hadn't forgotten his love of motor cars and of racing. And in that car that he raced in 1948 was a 1933 MG J4, and he certainly distinguished himself in that car. He went on to race all kinds of great cars, Oscars, Ciatas, Fraser Nashes, Fiat Mille Miglia, many others. He was a terrific driver. He was a terrific engineer who could make cars work. And he was the guy, he was the go-to guy when you couldn't make your car work. Otto would fix it for you and make it run. Otto Linton is a Watkins Glen legend, as I've suggested, for his pioneering spirit in post-war American road racing. But even more so, as a warm personality who absolutely exemplifies the spirit of sportsmanship, and that's what makes him one of the most admired and loved figures in the sport. Otto would love it if you'd say a few words.
Make the mic too.
You want to come up? Great.
Thank you, Mike. I have talked a lot today at Legend Speak and at the garage in the morning, so I'm pretty much out of stories, but I might find some more. But I really appreciate what's happening today everywhere around here at all the meetings and so on, and I will really appreciate the trophy, I'll call it, when I get it back, Right now, SVRC has it for a few days or a week or something. But all I can tell you is what Michael hasn't told you, that when I came here in this country to try a job for engineering in an automobile factory, I couldn't do that because I had no money. When I left Austria, they wouldn't let you get out without any money, without money. So you got an amount that amounted to $4. That's all they let you take out at the time. So I had to go to work. I had to find something. Well, I found people in the antique car club, and a group got together to form a sports car part of the antique club. And all the people that were there was 1944 in Boston, and I was there, and a fellow that also raced here in 1948, George Caswell, and we worked in the same shop. So they decided, well, maybe we ought to make it actual club. So the SCCA was in the forming of the club in 1944. Well, it happened to actually still in 1944, towards the end of the year, the group got together and formed the SCCA, and it became an actual club. Amongst other things, they decided that somebody has to draw up the bylaws. Well, there was one lawyer in the group, and he said he would do it. Well, he did, and later in the year, got all together again and signed all the forms and all, and it became a club. The only thing is, it had one of the items in it said that you could only join the clubs if 2 members recommend you, and you must own a sport car. Well, unfortunately, I only had a Duesenberg touring car. It didn't apply. It didn't meet the item that says you have to have a sports car. So in Austria, when I was 10 years old, I went across a Amel car and swore to me that I will be an engineer and I will have an Amel car. Well, I searched for some car that I could buy and do something. I wound up with an Amel car. Unfortunately, it didn't have an engine. So I was still out of it, but they agreed to let me join the club. So 1945 is when I joined it, and I'm still the oldest member in the club after all these years. So shortly thereafter, a friend that was in the service was a lieutenant, and he was serving in Scotland, and he ran across a car that he liked. It didn't look like a regular MG, but he liked it anyhow. So when he came back in 1945, I was able to buy the car from him. And that's how I got to the J4, not knowing the history because nothing was available at the time. But it was actually built as a racing car. And there was only 6 of them built. And that was one of them, which had a pretty good record in England, in Ireland, and all over Europe, which I still didn't know, but my son researched it and found it out. So, but that was just recently. But I enjoyed the car. Now, the only thing was the supercharger wasn't there, which it originally had. And, well, when I was asked to come up and meet Cameron Hargetsinger in 48 to check out the course that he was laying out, since I was a representative of the Philadelphia region in the contest board. So Caswell and I went up and we looked around the 3 courses that he had proposed, and all decided on the course that made it. That's the old course as you know it. And we both really, really liked it. We knew it was a challenge, but a real nice challenge. So I reported that to the board, and they adopted it. And that's how we got to run in 1948 in September, in October, I'm sorry, the 2nd of October. But that's how I got into actual racing with them, which I had hoped for a long time. And I got pretty involved in it, as you probably know. I kept racing here for another 12 years, and of course also other courses too, but this is the way I liked it, because everybody knew each other. We were all friends, basically, and nobody would do anything wrong to each other. And I'm glad that the SVRA is now similar to that. It's all amateur. There are no earning drivers, and I wouldn't drive for any money. I'll drive for my interest to respect all the other drivers. That's the only thing that I kept for all my career, as you want to call it, in the racing. But no, except for that, I really don't have any other stories.
Thank you all so much for your attention, and continue to enjoy the good food and drink.
This car is the Hanskin Jaguar Special, and I've known Bill Green for many years, and I've had an association with the Argensinger family, and I decided that at some point we would lend the car to the museum and library so it could be displayed here and celebrated. When owning a car like this, it's important to share it with people and display it, and I currently race this car too and share it with people on the track. Today we ran around the old course with the other race cars, and we enjoyed that afternoon together. And we're leaving it off here at the center until December. Walt Hanskin built this car in 1953 and came to Watkins, Glen, and won the Grand Prix here. The previous year he had raced the XK120 Roadster, which was not quite fast enough. So what he did is he brought the car home, took a torch to it, cut the car up into little pieces, removed the engine, transmission, and suspension and key components and the brakes, and built his own Special. Special was a car built out of pieces, junkyard pieces in some cases, in other cases fast sports cars that were just cut up and made to go faster. The body is made of aluminum, and it's a self-styled body by Hanskin. And Emil Hoffman, who was his worker there, who was a he was gas welding aluminum and put this aluminum body, this very beautiful aluminum body together. Hanskin used a TD steering rack in here, modified the suspension with coil springs in the back. It had 4-wheel drum brakes on it, and it weighed 600 pounds less than a standard XK120. So when he came back to the Glen this time, he won the event. This was the first event outside of town on the new track there. The previous year, someone had been killed, and they stopped racing through the center of Watkins Glen. So Hanscom had some degree of success with this car during the 1953 year. He sold it to a fellow named Paul Timmons, who raced at MGTD, was a friend of his. And Paul raced this car in the 1954 season, sometimes against Hanscom. But this car was the car that kind of brought Hanscom into the limelight, and ultimately he started racing with Briggs Cunningham. And he had great success in the D-Type and the Cunningham cars of various sorts. Hanscom raced midgets, he raced NASCAR, he raced sports cars, he raced Indianapolis, Formula One, he raced everything. He was a great driver, he was a great man. I knew him when I was a kid from Bridgehampton. Everybody knew Walt Hanscom because he was the king of Bridgehampton. He was a great guy, and unfortunately he was killed at Le Mans in a GT40, and we all mourn his loss. But the car survives, and we're here to celebrate it, and it'll be on loan until December 7th. I have other cars. I've always liked cars. I have a Jaguar XKE, which I ran in the Bahamas, and I ran at Mount Equinox. This car won Mount Equinox, as a matter of fact. It's been raced with the VSCCA for many, many years. I also Concoured the car. It was a national Concours winner in the Jaguar Club North America. It was the best race car at the Vintage Fall Festival of 1989 in the Concours. But it's had a great deal of success and a great deal of joy to me. It's been a pleasure to own this car. I bought this car some 30 years ago, and this year is the 60th anniversary of it winning the Watkins Glen Grand Prix. So I've owned this car half of its life, and a great joy to me. I've wrecked this car once too, which I'm very sorry to say, but no panels on the car were replaced. Everything was straightened out on the car. And when you have a car like this, it's important to race it because it's important that it's not be in a museum setting and be put on the track and shared with other people, which is my philosophy and feeling about it. But that being said, I think that it's important to take care of the car, respect its heritage, and keep it in the same form as it was when it was raced by Hanscom. It's kind of a sadness that these cars are worth so much money now. So they've gone out of the hands of people who appreciate them, who would race them and share them and use them, to people who collect them and look upon them as just, a trinket or something for amusement or collectible or an investment, even worse. I mean, cars are going for, Ferraris we're seeing for $6 million, $20 million, and it's sad. It's a sadness to me because the cars are not being driven on the track. But we in the Vintage Sports Car Club of America respect that. We respect the heritage of the cars. We celebrate the cars. At our races, we don't give out trophies. What we do is we celebrate the cars in different ways. We honor drivers who present the cars well and drive them well. And it's a fine line in driving a car in vintage racing because you don't want to risk the car, but you want to go out there and drive the car. And it's something we try to do well. We have people in our club who are racing into their, 80s or so. I don't know, the time hasn't come. Each year I think it's going to be my last year. And still, I go out there and say, I can still do it pretty well. And I still enjoy the car. But I'll have to find somebody who will appreciate the car, someone who I can pass it on to. I'm the custodian of this car during my lifetime, as with all classic cars. But I'd have to find somebody in the VSCCA, someone who appreciates the heritage of this car, and not just a collector who's going to put it away, someone who's going to show the car, drive the car, and as I have for the last 30 years. I have several fellows at my shop. I have a repair shop in Briarcliff, and Leo Bunker always helps me, and he's the British car guru in our shop. And Andy Hill has been working on this car since before he could drive. He used to sneak down the shop when his father didn't know that he was there and help me, restore the car. And there are people who are dedicated to the car, always come out and crew for me and prepare the car for me, so it makes it not so much of a burden. We do restorations in the shop. I enjoy the restoration process. This car was restored by us, and it's been always a joy. And trying to get the correct patina, keep the car, not over-restore it, get it just right, so it looks like a period race car. I do have a website, and the name of the shop is the Briarcliff Classic and Imported Car Service. We've been there for 40 years, and it's in Briarcliff, New York, and Westchester. And it's a small shop, but we're devoted to English cars and European cars in general. We restored many cars, and for select people. I enjoy the restoration project. I have a sense of what's right on cars, what's wrong, and how to bring out the best of these older cars. And I enjoy that. And I enjoy the people I meet. I enjoy the people who have these cars, who really have had them for a long period of time. Some of my customers have had them for generations. They've been passed down, and that's always the most fun, in knowing that someone's grandfather owned the car and bought it originally. That's always fun. But I do know the heritage of this car, and it's very important to me. Rusty Hanskin drove this car last weekend at Lime Rock. I drove it in the races at Lime Rock at the Vintage Festival, and Rusty came out, and after the festival was done, they gave worker rides and stuff. So Rusty had a half hour in the car, Rusty Hanskin, that is. So that was really a kick. And Mike Argensinger came to Lime Rock, and I gave him the car to drive one day as well, and he drove the car in races, actual races. So, and that's an honor, because I don't give that up easily. But I do respect Mike, who respects this car.
Has Bert Levy ever talked his way into this car?
Bert Levy did, in fact, talk his way in the car, and he drove the car at Lime Rock as well. And he was writing a small feature in Vintage Motorsport about the car, so I felt it only proper that he drive the car and see what the car is all about. A special is a neat car, because what happened was a guy in his backyard, and some of them not as gifted as Walter Hanskin, could take, a junkyard dog could take things from parts from different cars and then put them together in a different form and compete with the best that Europe had. They were somewhat gifted, they were arrogant, and they had an engineering background. And these people built these cars called the American Specials. The Old Yeller on the West Coast was an American Special as well. In this car, the seats are from a Seata, the gas caps are from a Seata, and there are different parts from different cars that found their way onto this. So it's always been an interest. The motor mounts were Ford, which I found in a magazine because I didn't know what they were when I had to replace them. The door hinges are Chrysler. So there are bits and pieces found their way onto the car. The wheels on here are Barani lightweight alloy wheels, and Italian. So there are pieces from internationally on this car. Would you like to see it under the hood? It has a alloy radiator here, larger than initially. You can see the tubular frame that Hanskin carefully constructed for this car. All the panels in here are gas welded aluminum in the hood, which is an art unto itself. Emil Hoffman did that, and he taught gas welding aluminum in the airplane factories during World War II. The dashboard here is XK120. The seats, as I told you, are Seata. Gas caps are Seata. The car had to have a spare tire, so this setup was put in here. The gas tank down below is a wing tank from an airplane, which was modified to fit the car. But the car is basically the way Hanskin had it. I have a removable roll bar, which I use when I'm racing. But I've removed it to get it back because Hanskin didn't race it with a roll bar, so I try and keep it in the same form we're displaying here at the museum.